My name is Sweetie Abochi. Coming up in this bulletin, consumers to pay 15% on premiums for non-life insurance policies as Ghana Revenue Authority gets ready to implement provisions of the 2023 Value-Added Tax Amendment Act.
From 2023, there was a need to improve or increase tax and broaden the tax base and also mobilize additional revenue to fund public services and infrastructure. In that vein, there was a need to introduce a tax that have been on the fund.
We have details as GRA exempts motor insurance from this new additional value-added tax. And also, Chairman of the governing National Democratic Congress, Asiedu, berates Electoral Commission's leadership over electoral failures, insists the institution must be reset.
The three top leadership must all go.
And also in this bulletin, suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono files fresh processes to halt proceedings against her, slamming calls for her resignation.
Every step of the removal process being undertaken against me is being done in a manner that breaks every rule on how justice is delivered in our country.
Details as government denies allegations of political persecution. These plus business news in this package. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. I'm Sweetie, back with details in a bit. Thank you for your time. In our very first story, from July 1st, 2025, a 15% value-added tax will be applied to non-life insurance premiums following the enforcement of the Value-Added Tax Amendment Act 2023, Act 1107. The new policy affects a wide range of general insurance products such as property, health, travel and business interruption insurance, which offer protection against risks other than death or permanent disability. And the GRA has defended the implementation of the tax, indicating that this measure is part of efforts to broaden the tax base and enhance domestic revenue mobilization. David Latte Kwakopom is the Chief Revenue Officer at GRA, and he joins us for a quick conversation on this. And let's listen to him first.
The why now contains several reasons. However, the basic consideration is we having to realize the current situations on the ground. From 2023, there was a need to improve or increase the tax and broaden the tax base, improve the tax equity and neutrality, and also mobilize additional revenue to fund public services and infrastructure. So in that vein, there was a need to introduce a tax that have been on the drawing board or that have been in our tax law since 2013. Like I said, equity and fairness in the tax system. This is very, very important. VAT is a consumption tax, and its application across sectors ensures that no industry is unjustifiably privileged or disadvantaged. And other service sectors, such as banking, telecom, and hospitality, are already subject to VAT in certain circumstances.
So that there is Prince David Latte Kwakopom. He is the Chief Revenue Officer at GRA. Who we really want to engage right now is Charles Apia. He is the Ghana Union of Traders Association. He's from the association. And Charles, thank you for joining us on Joy News today. How do you react to this additional tax?
Good afternoon. I'm shocked. I'm so surprised. You were not expecting something like this. I don't know what's the rationale behind this. Is it about what? Revenue mobilization? Is it about raising revenue for government? Have they have analysis to realize the economic ramification in introducing another hardship into the business community? You see, it is not about how many times you increase taxes. That's what I ensure.
Charles, has the AGI conducted any assessment on the potential impact of the 15% VAT? I mean, on the non-life insurance premiums?
We're talking about Gucha. Of course, any extra introduction of taxes have effect on doing business. At this point, of course, it's going to raise the cost of doing business that will be complaining. You see, over the period, we've complained about the structure of our VAT system in Ghana, and we're thinking probably government will avert its mind to some of the issues we have raised and address it. If not addressed another VAT in a sector that is already suffering, the insurance company too many Ghanaians. The very people who will take insurance are the same people who are paying VAT in business. If I have a property and I'm using it as a collateral at the bank, I have to pay insurance. And if you are increasing it by 15%, that of course you are adding to the cost of borrowing, which will be translated to the cost of doing business and the cost of price. So of course, the immediate effect is that it's going to add to our cost of doing business. It's going to affect our quest to grow, because this, of course, takes away some of our capital. That is what government should have been looking at and see how can I free the system. If we need revenue, it's not always about increasing taxes. The point has always been made that any time you give tax savings to businesses, it becomes like an extra working capital for them to expand. When businesses are expanding and they are getting profit, you tax them through corporate income tax. That is the most sustainable way of raising taxes.
So, I mean, at this point in time, Charles,
capital and expect business to grow for you to get revenue.
Mr. Apia, at this point in time where they're saying this takes effect from 1st July of this year, what can you do about it as a union?
I think we should do an early engagement. The timing for consultation, I don't think there was even a consultation. There's a need for us to understand what government to do so we can also propose alternative policies for them to adapt. They should not hesitate to punish us.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That is Head of Business at GUTA, Charles Apia. So, in other stories, National Chairman of the governing National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu, is calling for the removal of the Electoral Commission's top leadership, accusing them of gross incompetence and electoral mismanagement. Speaking on PM Express, he described the current EC leadership as unfit for purpose, citing what he describes as repeated failures to conduct credible elections. He warned that persistent electoral stalemates point to either negligence or outright inability to perform their constitutional duties.
Everything has been emerged. So there is overwhelming evidence that this commission is not fit for purpose. And if any serious country will want to maintain this type of electoral commission, then I don't know what the country is about.
So there will be a change at the EC leadership?
There has to be a change.
Mensah must go?
Yes, I think the three top leadership must all go.
So that will be the chairperson herself and her two deputies.
They must all go. They have mismanaged the commission so badly.
Their positions, though, are positions protected under the Constitution. They're guaranteed tenure.
But the Constitution has given us the path to remove them. And that is what is happening to the Supreme Court. You may be guaranteed, but there is no position under our Constitution. There is no appointee or state functionary who cannot be removed under this Constitution. There's a procedure of removing the president. There's a procedure of removing Speaker of Parliament. That's why there's a procedure for removing Chief Justice. everybody has, you know, a way of holding them accountable. Because if you make an appointee or a state functionary who is not accountable to anybody, nothing, there's no way to hold them to check, then you breed a monster. And so when you look through the Constitution, everybody in the Constitution can be changed.
You just heard from the chairman of the NDC. Let's engage Paul Mensah Brampa. He's programs director at the Center for Democratic Development in charge of election security. And Mr. Brampa, thank you for joining us. This is not the first time that the competence of the leadership of the Electoral Commission have come under question. How can we rationalize what the chairman of the National Democratic Congress is saying?
Well, good afternoon. Let me take the opportunity to say very good afternoon to your viewers. I'm not privy to the preamble you laid that the competencies of the EC staff have been in question over the years. I'm not privy to that.
I mean, in the lead up to election 2024, there were so many issues that brought their credibility.
That's what I was coming to.
Okay.
As usual, and that has been a characteristic of Ghana's election, every opposition political party accuses state institutions who have roles to play in our elections. And this is not unique to what we witnessed ahead of the 2024 elections, with more threats and also campaign statements purporting to take actions against several state leadership of state institutions when the opposition won power. And I was just developing a blog post, and I titled it Campaign Promises and Threats Comes to Fruition. So it's becoming a pattern that if we are not careful and we encourage that, we may not have any tenure or safety for any of our major institutions who play one or other role in our electoral process. So I see this as a fulfillment of campaign promises and threats.
The chairman makes the argument that there are processes in place to remove them, and he cited the ongoing process or inquiry into the suspension of the Chief Justice as an example. You say that it appears we don't have, or we don't want to have, a more permanent approach to leadership of these institutions, but that's why
I made an example of what happened in Mampong. If the people who were protesting to canvass for their own to be nominated and appointed as municipal chief executive had done that lobby without the public getting to know their intention of ethnicity dimension of it, that would have been easier probably for the president to do. But as soon as you make a public statement backed by press conference that you want a northerner specifically, and the president privy to the constitutional provisions of non-discrimination, non-ethnicization of certain issues, it becomes difficult. Even if the president wants to fulfill your demand, it becomes difficult, and you tie his hands because people will then refer to him. Why must it come from only NDC people to do this? So because people have documented threats, and for me, I have several of them, and I think you also have them, or when you go online, you can document many other platform statement threats from Sami Jamfi and from many other people who made specific statements of people they would sack when they won power. So it seems not to be the issue of competency, but it seems to be your threat during your campaign that you are fulfilling.
Mr. Brampa,
yes, there are laid down procedures. My colleague Kojo Asante spoke about that earlier today. There are laid down procedures for some of these things. So you allow the systems to work. If indeed the people are incompetent, as you have so said, then the people will lay down the ground of their incompetencies. And some of these things are resolved. Let it come in here. I always say that election is a stakeholdership. There are security roles for the security agencies. There are expected behavior responsibility from political parties. But most often than not, when we are assigning our portion blame We put it solely on the Electoral Commission. We are here in the country that this Ablikma thing that we are citing an example of incompetency. The Electoral Commission said it's ready. It set 2 different dates of announcing or going through the report. Tax from this same political party.
All right, Mr. Braa, we don't have enough time, so please
Why
bear with
then
me.
do we put the blame of incompetency only
Mr.
for that
Braa,
election on the Electoral Commission?
Let me get a word in. We don't have so much time. In your expert opinion, as someone, the director of, the one in charge of election security, do you see any evidence of wrongdoing, incompetence, of anything that warrants the removal of the leadership of the Electoral Commission as we speak?
I don't at all.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us on Joy News today. Now, in other stories, the Ghana Health Service says it is actively collaborating with University of Ghana authorities to contain the outbreak of COVID-19 and review measures in response to the evolving situation. This is after the University of Ghana banned all social gatherings on campus following a resurgence of COVID-19 cases. Here's a statement from the Ghana Health Service, and I believe that will be on your screens in a bit. So according to the statement, Ghana has have been steadily declining for over a year in terms of the cases of COVID-19 recorded. Nonetheless, surveillance continues nationwide through the Ghana Health Service and the Noguchi Memorial Institute of Medical Research as part of the National Influenza and COVID-19 Monitoring Program across all 16 regions. Now, furthermore, they're saying in recent weeks, an uptake in COVID-19 cases has been observed, currently limited to the University of Ghana campus. The statement also says that Ghana Health Service is actively collaborating with the university authorities to contain the outbreak and review measures in response to the evolving situation. And according to the statement, if anyone experiences any of the following symptoms, including fever or chills, cough, sore throat, general bodily weakness, shortness of breath, or difficulty in breathing, loss of taste or smell, the person should immediately report to the nearest hospital. Now, the University of Ghana's new notice to ban social gatherings is sequel to an earlier notice issued on Monday, in which the university indicated, quote, a few suspected and confirmed cases reported in our immediate vicinity, unquote. So this new directive from the Office of the Student Affairs is what you see on your screen right now. And according to that statement, the Office of Student Affairs would like to inform all student bodies that due to the resurgence of COVID-19 cases on University of Ghana campus, it has become necessary to suspend all social gatherings with immediate effect. And the statement continues to say that various department and school association week celebrations and activities are therefore suspended till further notice. And these measures have become necessary to safeguard the health and well-being of the university community. Now, we want to get a bit of perspective from the school. We have Professor Rosina with us. She's Dean of Student Affairs. And Prof, many thanks for your time on Joy News today. How was the reaction from the students' body and, in fact, the teachers as well on the campus? How are you responding to this?
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me on your program. Obviously, students will not be happy with a notice like this going out, because this is the time of the year when most of the associations have their week celebrations. So we have most of the whole week celebrations going on at this time. The SRC is planning to have their celebration. GRASAG, which is the Graduate Students Association, is also planning their yearly activities. And so they are not happy, but they understand the stance that we've had to take to curb the spread of the virus.
Is there any update for us as far as the confirmed cases and any casualties recorded in the university so far?
Well, the cases that are presenting at the hospital are rising. It's not that many, but there's a steady rise in the number of students that present with COVID. And so we thought it would be good to just sit and watch because initially the University Health Services Directory issued impressing on students to observe the protocols. But as you know, students are not observing the protocols. And so then we had to come in to issue the statement to not to cancel but to suspend their social activities because they were not observing the protocol, so that we will not have a case where the virus spreads.
Before I let you go, Prof, do you have any idea when this ban will end or be lifted?
We are working very closely with the University Health Services and with Ghana Health Services. And so they are updating us, And so when they come and tell us that it is okay, the numbers have gone down, then we would lift the ban.
Professor Rosina there. She's Dean of Student Affairs at the University of Ghana, and she joined us for their perspective on the resurgence of COVID-19. At this point, we'll take a break, and Winston Taki returns with business news.
Welcome back to Business here on Joy News Today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. Senior partner for AB and David, Dr. David Tetteh, has attributed the country's high food prices and transport fare regime to the control of transport associations and market women. According to Dr. Tetteh, the pricing of transport fares in Ghana is not determined by the forces of demand and supply, but rather by a cartel of transport associations and market queens dictating prices. Dr. Tetteh made this known on the Joy Business Economic Forum themed Ghana at the Risks, the economic fallout of distant conflicts.
Because they fund these things, they have a complete control over the price, and we need to address that as a nation. This is how we price our food. Now, when you just stay and you come and pick what the Statistical Service will publish, in the CPI, you may find that the amount of spend we put on food, maybe, I don't know the figure, let's say it's 40%, and let's say another 30% to fuel and another 10% to rent, as an example. But these three are very heavy, and the attitude, so if a market queen is controlling how food gets to the urban center, indirectly, they are controlling the price. Now, as if that matter was only market queens, no. We come to the transportation. And this is where I said my piece won an award. GPRCU, Progressive Transport Owners Association, ProTour, Ghana Road Transport Council now, and then Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, which puts all of them together, and the Ghana Road Haulage Association. Each of these are cartels in their own right. In fact, until about a few years ago, when Act 863 was passed to repeal it, we used to have something called the PNDC 317, which empowered GPRTU to control terminals. So they decide exactly who can haul food. The prices of transportation is not as a result of forces of supply and demand. It's not true. It's very easy for you to be taught in the classroom that prices are determined by forces of supply and demand. That is not what happened to our transport. It is not. It is purely a cartel deciding how much to price it. And that is why any time that there is fuel increase, they will say, I'm increasing fuel by 15%. At times, they correlate the increase in fuel to the increase in fare. Now, if you take a typical bus as an example, you spread the cost over the number of people. Exactly. And therefore, it's not be a direct proportion of correlation. Yes. And this nation forgets history. This is not new. In November 1990, after a lot of debate, this nation consciously made it. I'm talking about 1990. Sure.
In other development, Deputy Minister of Finance Thomas Nyako Ampem is making a strong case for Africans to own the financing structure to aid development in Ghana and other countries in the region. The minister said this at the opening of the 32nd annual meeting of Afrexim Bank in Abuja, Nigeria. George Biafe has more in this report.
More integrated than the one in which I was born. This
Speaking at the annual meetings here in Abuja, Nigeria, the Deputy Minister of Finance, Thomas Nyakwampim, maintained that due to the current global financing challenge, African countries must look within.
As we gather here in Abuja, we do so at a critical inflection point. The global economic landscape is evolving rapidly, and Africa must continue to chart its own course. One rooted in self-belief, integration over isolation, production over dependence, and collaboration over fragmentation. This week, let us make the most of our time. Let us not only reflect on what has been achieved, but more importantly, let us imagine and design what is possible.
We have more business updates on myjoyonline.com/business. Coming up next, Expo.
Let's do sports now on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, Black Queens head coach Kimlas Bjorkegren has hailed his team's second-half performance in their friendly game against Benin. Now, Ghana secured a 4-2 victory after trailing 2-1 at halftime. The victory means 2 wins from 2 games, which shows encouraging signs ahead of the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which comes off next month.
It's a good game. Great second half. I think we were struggling a little bit in the middle of the first half. The ball is really windy here today, and the ball was a little bit more played in the air than on the ground, and that probably helped the opponent a little bit more. But when we took it down and started to play football, we were absolutely the better team, and we scored 4 goals and had even more chances. So I'm happy that attack starts to look better and better. We have scored 7 goals now in 2 games, so it's good. To start with, there are some new players that actually came in. We didn't start with a full squad. We're getting close to that now because of the FIFA window. So of course you want to rotate a little bit because we hope it's going to be a long tournament with many games. So we can't just rely on 11 players. We need to have more players that is ready to play, and we have a good group. So I want to use as many as possible. With full respect of Malawi and Benin that we have played against, Nigeria is one step up, one of the best teams in Africa. Good players on almost every single position, so it's going to be a very, very tough game, but that's also what we need now. Now we have to show that our lowest level is high enough. We know that we can score goals. We know that we have a good defense as well. So it's just going to be fun to match against one of the best teams. And I'm really looking forward to that one. But today I just want to enjoy this victory.
Now, Liverpool have completed the signing of Bournemouth left-back Milos Kekes in a £40 million deal. The 21-year-old defender signed a 5-year contract at Anfield, becoming the 3rd signing for the Reds after Jeremy Frimpong and Florian Wirtz.
I'm really happy. It's a real honor for me, privilege to come to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, biggest club in England, and I'm just really, really happy and excited.
For that to be a reality, though,
yeah.
After speculation and talks going on, how does that feel to you as a player?
You know, it's you can't have much peace because you know it's Liverpool, and you want to be a Liverpool player, and I think it's should be every kid's dream. And yeah, I was just waiting nearly every day and what is happening, and wanted my dad to tell me and this. And a couple of days ago, a week ago, he told me it's falling good and that we are flying this week here. So really, really happy.
You talked about that being a dream. How aware of you as a young boy of Liverpool and the success and the history that comes with this wonderful club as well?
Yeah, obviously I watched a lot. I'm 21, so I start to watch when I was 13, 14, and to be really into Liverpool. And obviously I remember a lot of legends. Let's say obviously in the left back, I watch a lot of clips about Jonan Risa and obviously Andrew Roberts, and also I love a lot. And watched a lot of videos and games of him, and for me, just like I say, it's real honor, real privilege to come here and be a Liverpool player now, and I just want to get going.
It's funny you mentioned Jana Reese's name because people might be able to see some similarities in the way you play, your style as well.
Yeah, probably. I watch a lot of videos, and he was also.
And that's it for sports on GM Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and Sweetie, back to you.
What inspired your outfit today?
A lady called Sweetie advised me, and I took it into consideration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's how we're wrapping up the bulletin this afternoon. I'm Sweetie Abochi. Do log on to myjoyonline.com. It's the most credible online news portal for more news stories. And it's bye for now.